Behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying.
All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, and what I want to get into today, is dealing with, there's a glory, all right, in death. Okay, there's a glory in death. All right, and it's a glory, all right, to die, for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And we have, plenty of examples in the scriptures, okay, of our forefathers, okay, that put their life, all right, in the hands of the Lord and trusted him even in death. And the biggest example is Yahushua, and when you read the book of St. John chapter 21 and verse 18, as Yahushua, this is after he was resurrected, okay, and he was talking to the head of the church, which was Peter, okay. So you read it, St. John 21 and 18 says, I tell you the truth. When you were young, you were able to do as you like. You dressed yourself and went wherever you wanted to go. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and others will dress you and take you where you want to go. Yahushua said this to let him know by what kind of death he will glorify the Most High. Then Yahushua told him, follow me. And that was speaking of, he was telling, Peter this, all right, and speaking of Peter was going to be crucified, in his older age, okay, and you have those records of Peter being crucified, and not only crucified, but crucified upside down, going to stretch out his hands, that's going into the type of death, he would take, all right, to glorify, okay, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You see, and we have to go into these times looking at death, differently. Okay, because dying for Yahweh Bashem Yahushai gives glory to our power. Okay, and as we understand that he is, all right, and his son, all right, is the Savior and the resurrection. Okay, you can't die in Yahushua. You see? Because those that believe in Yahushua live forever. Everyone that dies for Yahushua in these times to come will be resurrected immortal. And see, this is how we got to believe. Okay, and with a mindset like that, the devil has no leverage. Okay, he has no leverage. You see? So, to Wali Yahweh Bashem Yahushai for giving us a spirit, to understand these things. Okay, and these are the things we have to meditate on, all right, in our walk. You see, and we have to really look at death, differently, because this society, pushes death, okay, as a loss, okay, as the end all be all, okay. But we understand to die in Yahushua, okay, is a win. Okay? And it gives glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? That the earth, gets an example of someone faithful unto death. It gives glory to the Father. Okay, so now let's get some other precepts. Okay, because we go here to the book of Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. Okay, it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, just going to a complete number of days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown, okay, of life. Okay, see, we have to factor death into what we do, what we believe. Okay, you see, dying for what we believe, okay, is part of the doctrine. Okay, and when we're faced with bending the knee or the death, okay, then it should be understood, take the death. Okay, and that's a showcase of faith. You know, that's the highest form of faith that we can show. Okay, is taking the death. Okay, if that's within our lot, and the Lord gonna give us a spirit to be comforted in that moment, man. You know, it's something I believe the Lord not gonna have us in that situation and not, all right, accommodate us with that spirit needed, you know, to go through with it. Okay, but it all leads to a victory. That's why I says, I will give thee what? The crown of life. Okay, that's an automatic crown. To die for Yahweh Shai, it's an automatic crown. And we gotta look at it like that. Okay? To die for Yahweh Shai, that's an automatic crown, man. It's an automatic joint heir. You see? So, when you go on in the book of Revelation chapter, okay, 14, okay, Revelation 14 and 13, okay, and it says, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, right, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yes, said the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Okay, so we can, the Lord set it up to where we can put emphasis, okay, while we're living on the works, you know, and those works follow, okay, the elect. You have certain brothers that have died in this truth, died in the faith, okay, serving the Lord, or their works follow them. You see, their labors are not in vain. Okay, when Yahweh Shai returns, okay, on those chariots, okay, it goes to Thessalonians chapter 4. Okay, when Yahweh Shai returns on those chariots, okay, those men, all right, that have died in Yahweh Shai, those men, okay, those believers, you know, that have to be beheaded, okay, for Yahweh Shai. Well, they're going to rise first, and they're going to rise to rulership. 1 Thessalonians 4, right, and 16. Well, I started 14, all right, 144. Okay, it said, for if we believe that Yahweh Shai died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahweh Shai will the Most High bring with him. Okay, so as we believe Yahweh Shai, you know, died and rose, okay, and is at the right hand of the Father as the mediator, all right, and we believe that, well, the resurrection is real. Well, it's real for us too, if we have to, you know, make that sacrifice, man. Okay, it said, for this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them, all right, which are asleep. All right, you read this in the NLT, it says, we tell you this directly from the Lord. We who are still living, when the Lord returns, will not meet him, okay, will not meet him ahead of those who have died. All right. So those that have died are going to be on the chariots first. Okay. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout and with the voice of an archangel with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Hamashiach shall rise first. Okay. With those new bodies. Okay. They're going to be changed first. You see, showing you that, hey, that's an honor. Okay. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we be with the Lord for ever. All right, be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. Okay, and that's the beginning of an eternal righteous rulership. And death doesn't stop there. Yahweh Shai has authority over death. Okay? Because those that die in Yahweh Shai, alright, well, guess what? Yahweh Shai is going to overturn their death penalty into immortality, man. You see, this is the power that we serve. And we got to fully believe these things. Alright? We got to take this mindset going into this time. And with a mindset like this, the devil has no leverage. You see? The people, the masses of our people that's getting ready to take this sea hill, well, they want to spare their life. They're going to take that with the mindset, I want to spare my life. I want to live. Okay, for the right now. You see? And it said Philippians 1 and 20, I said, I'm reading NLT, said, for I fully expect and hope that I will never be ashamed, but that I will continue to be bold for Hamashiach as I have been in the past. And that's something we got to pray for, boldness. So I've been praying for, as of late, man, just to be bold in Yahweh Shai. To be bold going into these times. Okay? And it says, but that I will continue to be bold for Hamashiach as I have been in the past, and I trust that my life will bring honor to Yahweh Shai, which whether I live or die. Okay? So if we live to give honor to Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai. And then death is to give honor to Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai. Okay? It said verse 21 said, for to me, living means living for Hamashiach, and dying is even better. Because Apostle Paul, he experienced death and was resurrected. Okay, so he has a record, he has an account, he has a testimony. Okay, how he's seen things that are unlawful to be spoken. Okay, just going into the splendor of the spiritual realm. Okay. And he was good. And the scriptures tell you what, the weary are at rest. Revelation 14. All right. How you rest from your labors. Your work follow you. Okay. You don't have, the worry of this side. Okay. All those things are left. You see? and you're with. Okay. Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai. Okay? And so we have to go into these times with the mindset, okay, that there's no loss for the elect, even in death. Okay? And let's get this. Here's the book of St. John. All right. St. John 11:23 said, Yahweh Shai said unto her, all right, which is Martha, dealing with Lazarus, just after he was dead, 4 days. Okay, and then 4 goes into mercy. It says, thy brother shall rise again. Martha said unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Yahweh Shai said unto her, I am the resurrection, all right, and the life. He that believeth on me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this, man? So there's truly no death in Yahweh Shai, because we come right back immortal. They're just a death for the elect. Okay, for a believer, it's just one more notch closer to immortality than we are now. Okay, and we have to go into, the times we're coming into with this mindset. Okay, speaking to myself, first and foremost. All right, but that's the point. So Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you sisters edified. Till next time I say shalom.